thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks, John.
thanks, John. Sean. or
Sean.
I just said John. Okay, public forum, 5 minutes for people to speak, that stuff that's not on the agenda. Anybody here? Sure, Amos, go ahead.
Want me to come up or stay
You
here?
can sit there. just-
Well, I want to see him, so just as long as you can be seen on the TV.
Should pick you up.
Can you, will it pick me up? Let
Yeah.
me see here.
Probably will.
Start chatting.
Well, anyways, so I know it's not within your purview, but,
Could you introduce yourself?
oh, sorry, Amos Martin.
Okay.
Sorry. So over the last year, I've been very vocal about the clean heat standard at S5 on Front Porch Forum. And the last couple of months, there's been some articles, the PUC meetings I've started up, and I've been trying to share articles that have been shared through the Vermont Daily Chronicle, and Front Porch Forum has decided that that website is not a nice website, so they won't share those links that I'm sharing to the public. So I'm just trying to educate people, and last week, I lost my submission privileges through that. So I just want to make that, I just wanted to put it out there to you guys because you guys use Front Porch Forum as a tool. Everybody in the community uses that tool. I know people in the community like those submissions I've made in the past, educating people on things happening with S5. And it's very concerning that they can just say that, no, this isn't something we want on our forum and not publish it. So.
Have you had a response from them? Why? Have you asked them why?
Yeah, I can read to you the email from, now, does each community I've heard has their own editor? Have you guys heard that? Like Bristol has
I
their,
don't know.
I know Starksboro does, I'm pretty sure. they do.
I'm just curious, they've always, if I sent something in and it's been flagged for whatever reason, they've always given me an explanation, so that's why I asked.
The only explanation is, hi Amos, and thank you for your submissions below. However, we are not able to publish your postings as the URLs linked to a website that hosts content that violates Front Porch Forum's terms of use. Best wishes, Edna, member support Front Porch Forum. And there was a link for the Vermont Daily Chronicle Clean Heat Standard exploding on the launch pad and mafia style corruption in the clean heat standard. So
it wasn't the actual article itself, it was a link to an article.
right, because I've tried to copy and paste the articles themselves and was accused of plagiarism, even though I put the person's name and gave full credit. Because they flagged the links and then I tried to put the article, they flagged the article. So I know it's a valuable tool and a valuable way to get information out. And if they stop us from getting information out because they, for some reason, don't like it. And they're just meeting minutes that people have taken that can go to those meetings. And there's YouTube links in those of the meetings, quoting the people on the committees and stuff, so it's not.
I'd almost need to respond to her and ask her what the policy is about the links or what's in the links that.
I did,
isn't
and I didn't hear
acceptable.
anything back.
Yeah.
So now you can't even get on Front Porch Forum?
I still receive the
You can read it, you just can't
emails and I
submit.
can read it, I just can't submit.
Well, you could probably submit, you just can't submit with
No.
those, you can't submit anything?
Like if you had
It's really- that's
a
what
car
it
for
says.
sale or anything?
It's
Privileges have been revoked.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
I thought they just said that the submissions with these types of articles wouldn't be allowed.
This profile does not have posting access anymore.
So folks are asking, maybe it's been resolved, I'm getting messages that folks still can't hear. Can folks hear now? Jill, can you hear now?
Jill, can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was before.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
All right,
So-
well,
yeah.
That's it,
I don't know what to say. We don't control Front Porch Forum. We don't give to Front Porch Forum as a taxpayer money.
No, I know
I think
it's
it's
what.
free speech is free speech, and they are denying you free speech.
Yeah, I think that has to do with free speech, if I'm not mistaken, is the government shutting you down or something like that. They can't stop you from freedom of speech, but it's in their policy. If you look at their policy, because I've looked at it a couple times, they have the right to publish and not publish what they see.
Right, because it's a private company, right?
Private
It's not a non-profit, it's a for-profit company, yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, I think that's probably my 5 minutes.
Alrighty, thanks.
Thanks for your
Yeah, I'm
time.
sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, no, and I just
Yeah.
hope it doesn't happen to somebody else, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Department heads, Eric, we see you in the room, come right up first.
What?
For your
Sure.
thoughts.
Are you there?
No. So last week we started cleaning up some of the wind debris. That was done in the windstorm. We started going around picking up some of that stuff, getting rid of it. And then just the normal maintenance and road work. The Freightliner is down. It's over to Bristol Diesel, getting the front end put in under it. Friday, the wheel bearing on the passenger front wheel going. So instead of putting money, a wheel bearing in it, I went over and talked to Caleb and they said, take the wing off, bring it over Monday morning. So that's what we did. So it's over there now and hopefully it'll be done tomorrow or latest is Wednesday. So I'm hoping, so.
Okay,
So the new front end we ordered is in.
right, I see it in the pay orders.
Putting it in.
It's on the front end.
It's been there for 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, 2 to 3
Get
weeks.
through March, weren't you? Or
Something
you
like
had
that.
work on-
Huh?
You were gonna try to get through March before.
We're gonna try to get through until, he had some projects or stuff that he was fixing that he wanted to clean up before he took ours in, so we were trying to limp ours by, but once the wheel bearing went, I told him about it, he said, we'll rearrange and we'll get you in. So that's when he told me to take the wing off and bring it over Monday. So that's what we did.
Left the plow on, no?
No,
Have you had any update? Remember there was the lamp post that,
done,
oh, it's done, great, excellent.
Fixed it last Friday, right?
that's right.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper, so.
I spotted at the crosswalk by National Bank, one of the crosswalk signs, the bottom bracket is broken, probably because of the windstorm. And so it's only being held on by one. If that breaks, it'll fall off. So I don't know if you're.
The pedestrian sign?
Yeah, the pedestrian sign, the triangular diamond one,
Yeah.
the bottom one, it's just sort of hanging off. It just
Alright.
snapped, it looked like. So I don't know if you can
Check that out.
figure out something just to attach it, so it doesn't fall off. I just noticed that a couple
Okay.
days ago. But thank you for repairing the light. That's great.
Okay,
Hey,
anything else there? I was writing something down. Okay, I saw Bruce up. Bruce, you wanna go? Bruce, you wanna go? Well, I just didn't know if you could hear me, Michelle.
Staying busy with calls for service. Other than that, nothing new.
Okay. Brett, I saw you on. Did see you on.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. The only update I have for the group is, as the board is well aware, and Valerie, the fire station received some significant damage as a result of the 2 separate wind events. We've received quotes and estimates for repairs, and now we're just waiting on contractors to get there to do the work. So pending any questions from you all or anyone else, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, thank you. Don't see Meredith on.
Sharon's here.
Sharon, yeah, I was getting there.
I'm patiently waiting.
Sharon?
The biggest thing coming up, of course, is the election in 3 weeks. We received our local ballots today. It looks like maybe the school ballots are gonna be pulled, so we'll have to have an additional election down the road. We just got an email tonight at 5 o'clock. I haven't read through it all, but that seems to be the direction they're going. So that's the biggest thing coming up right now.
So well, if it's pulled, what does that mean then? Are they gonna do their
There
own?
will be another election.
This, I think, did the state decide they were pulling them?
They're trying to convince them because the legislature wants more time to determine what
Yeah, the budget.
they
Yeah,
want
'cause
to do,
then-
so.
So is it possible if that happens and we find out the date's far enough out that we could have another hearing on our,
Mhm.
on our?
Do it and stop waiting till August. maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Combine the two.
I mean, if you get a schedule that fits where we can have another hearing on the
Development.
zoning, then we can have that hearing and push that along and have that at the same election, or would we be able to have them both at the same time?
I would think you could, it's just a special election, so it'd be an article for us and a separate article for the school.
Do you know when you might find out about the school?
I don't know, because I have had no, information from MAUSD. This is just stuff I've heard through the grapevine.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got a thing from the Secretary of State's office tonight at 5 o'clock, and I haven't read through it, but it seems to be that's the way they're going. They want all the schools to pull them, so everybody will have to do an additional. And of course, if it doesn't pass, then we have to do another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that an election we pay for, or the school district pays for?
Should be the school district. They have their own tabulator, so I would hope they would, because they usually pay for their own ballots normally anyways. So, but our piece would, if we decide to do the zoning or are ready for it, then that would be our cost.
Okay.
Anything else, Sharon? Anything else?
No, that's the big thing coming up right now.
Alrighty, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't see Meredith on or anybody else.
Jill,
Jill, yeah, right.
well, you said anybody else, so.
He's getting there. Let him do it.
Jill?
I'll be somebody else today.
No, you're not.
Cyrus is over here too, if you guys have questions for him. Nothing extraordinary, just kind of like our, just a reminder that the grease traps, the external grease traps are being done by monthly, so every 2 months for the external grease traps. Sewer read is tomorrow, which is when we're acknowledging what the flows are through those connections. Monthly water reports have been submitted. We submitted our VOC, SOC, and IOC waiver document today. So the advantage to submitting that waiver is if perchance the results of the water system are such that they say, oh, there's nothing concerning in the results from this particular last set. You can go 3 years, you can go 6 years, you can go 9. So that's depending on the results. So it's just kind of nice because it saves us money. And not do unnecessary sampling. We've got the service line inventory is continuing to progress. We're making bids and strides on that one, and we have several new potential developments coming potentially to Bristol. So I think for the water system, it's great that there's still adequate water supply and pressure, and that there's still space in the Bristol Village area that's serviceable, and there's opportunities for some more new housing. So I just think it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, Jill, I did see the pay orders tonight, had the grease trap pumping in there. How did we leave it, Valerie or Jill, on? I remember we discussed it in May about billing the people for.
We need to set up an internal system for doing that. I did send out
Yeah.
correspondence to the external trap owners.
So this won't be a shock to them?
No, it shouldn't be. We've already let them know that this was on the horizon. I've had communications with one property owner a few times about it. We just haven't gotten a system in place to actually get the bills out yet. And I also want to do, then when we do send them out, I want to include a memo reminding folks of why we're doing it and all that stuff, but it's just too much else has been going on. It has not risen to the top of the pile.
And we will be, after she does the read tomorrow, it's time to do another bill for sewer. So if you wanted to include it at the same time.
Yeah.
We could.
I need a reminder.
Okay. Anything else on the water side, Jill?
No, I think there's enough that's gonna be covered in a future item tonight that we won't
Okay.
bother you with more stuff for tonight.
Alrighty.
I know I asked before, but run times are staying where they were since the Pine Street project was completed.
They're like a half hour less per day than they were last winter. Cause I mean, I look at the trending on like how many gallons are we using on average per day? How many are we using on average per month? So we're down a tiny bit. We've had Pine Street and we've had 3 pretty good sized leak repairs too. But yeah, there's also like the other, all the leaking service lines and old water lines. And so what happens with leaks, not to be like, super negative or wah, a leak starts and it starts really teeny and small. And then because water is powerful, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until finally you have a leak that displays itself. So there's, likely plenty of others in the system and we see what we see, but the new lines should just be like one spot where we're not worried that that's what's leaking. So I can't say that there was like hours of pump runtime cut off because that wouldn't be true.
Well,
Was
once we're done, we turn our blow off on.
Yeah, that's the thing too. We finished in the Pine Street project finished like November? And we open the blow off either between October 15th and November 1st every year. So depending on when the nights start to freeze. So it was almost like, but again, we always have the blow off open in the winter. So I am comparing like to like, as far as, December, it's always open. And November, it's always open. So we're down like a little bit.
Okay.
I can send you guys a chart that shows run times.
I'm just curious. We're selling this that we need to fix these leaks and we should gain as we repair lines. So that's all I was asking for.
Yeah, so the person that's done some of the leak detection for us swears that one can never see what your true water system usage is with no leaks until all your leaks are repaired and you have no leaks. And I just think we're a distance away from that right now. But I'll send you guys a big spreadsheet with colored lines and numbers, and that way you guys can look and see where that there is a bit of gain, but it's not like monumental at this point.
And we also had Firehouse Drive come online and a few others since December of 22.
But at least they're metered. I mean, I have not been provided any kind of data to put an audit against. So and I know that the accounting side of things is rough right now, so I'm not gonna push too hard for it, but I do have the spreadsheet. I just need data.
Okay,
All right, send us that spreadsheet.
all right,
Okay.
thanks. Okay, item 6, regular business. Consider Addison County Regional Planning Bristol Delegate candidate Ron Dentis to fill a vacant seat that runs to June 30th, 2024. May include deliberation executive session. Is Ron here? Is this Ron?
It's gotta be you. They're the one person I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
Crap.
Hi, Ron.
So you're fine, that's fine.
Tell us why you wanna have another night out. Come on. Go to the regional.
I've always been interested in regional and local planning, the impact that has on quality of life, on health, on education. I'm also a believer in loving being part of this community and want to find ways to give back. And this looked like a nice match for me based on my professional experiences prior to retirement and where I felt I could contribute.
Okay.
Are you familiar at all with the Addison County Regional Planning Commission?
I've tried to read up on them. I've read a couple of their reports. I've looked at the minutes of the last several meetings. I've looked at the Bristol planning document, which I think is fabulous. The whole, idea of, look, we've got a pretty significant housing crisis here. I don't think that you work your way out of a housing crisis just by building more houses. There's gotta be community, there's gotta be, how people, become part of the place where they live. You know, there's a reason why they were struggling with housing prior. Just building them a house doesn't necessarily resolve that, so I think there's such an important, correlation between education, housing, health, et cetera. And I think good planning at a local level and at a regional level is critical. Good smart growth is really important.
Okay, thank you. Anybody got any questions for Ron?
You'd rather be on the Addison County Regional Planning rather than our local planning commission?
You know, I'm new enough where I probably don't know which is better, so.
Yeah.
So we have, it's 3 delegates and 3 alternates, is that
I
correct?
believe so.
And we have 3 delegates currently.
We
on
have,
this. Peter, William, and Richard.
Richard, yeah,
Okay.
and I'm not sure if William intends to renew.
Okay.
The bill said.
And they're all, yeah, and they're all 1-year appointments.
I make a motion to appoint Ron to the Addison County Regional Planning as a Bristol delegate.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to appoint Ron as the county regional planning. Any more questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Ron, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We look forward to seeing you in July for reappointment.
You have another delegate here, Richard Butts on the end there. He's also a delegate.
Sure.
Okay, consider
Maybe you can carpool.
Consider Development Review Board candidate Dale Dingler to fill one of the 2 vacant seats that run to March 2024 and a March 2026. May include deliberation and executive session. Dale is present tonight behind us.
Yeah.
How you doing?
You want to give us a brief?
Well,
Why do you think you should?
I knew there was an opening on the DRB board and I've been in the building business all my life. I have my own business. I have a wholesale building supply business and I always sell the lumber yards. And I do a lot of projects of my own, so I'm very familiar with the zoning regulations, and I've been in front of boards before, never been in front of the Bristol board, but been in front of other ones. And I'm willing to do some community service.
Okay.
Have you attended any of the meetings or watched any of the meetings or read minutes?
No, I really haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I've been in a meeting, but I know how it all works.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions?
Which,
You want to,
Yeah.
if you're considering there's one that ends in March of 2024 or March of 2026.
Either way.
Do you want a 1 month?
1 month trial? or-
Trial?
or you want-
2-year trial.
Yeah.
Like I
Okay.
said, I don't mind getting back.
Because they have a meeting tomorrow night, I know that.
Yeah.
Very one tomorrow night.
Yes. Yes.
They meet the night after we do. Okay, I'd entertain a motion, or you want to go and do it later in executive session? What's your pleasure?
I move that we appoint Dale Dingler to the
DRB.
Development Review Board for the term expiring March 2026.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any more comments? To appoint Dale to DRB till 26. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Does that
Thank
mean he
you.
has to show up tomorrow?
Tomorrow night.
Meeting?
Tomorrow
He'll
night.
get the letter tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
make sure you get my contact.
Yeah.
What time is the meeting tomorrow night? So you know.
7 right here.
7 o'clock right here.
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, public hearing dog ordinance violation. Michael Mulligan, Lower Notch Road.
He's unable to zoom in and the Zoom numbers, he can't access it through his phone, so he's asked that we call him and put him on a speakerphone.
You did that the last time.
Or do you want to just,
Oh, the number is, not it to me.
Let him look at it, and I'll say it out loud.
here?
I'll write it
Do we
down.
have anyone else here for this hearing? I don't know. I don't think so. Okay, oh, yes.
Yes.
Yous are busy. I'll give him another. Okay,
That
Can
wasn't
you
a
email
minute.
them back and say we're trying to call you?
now we could jump to the next one. Richard, you're gonna, not
Well,
gonna,
here, the next one, we'll take it at a time. If you want.
I'll give that.
Okay, you wanna jump to the next? Let's do that. Joe.
Try him one more time.
Or maybe we can, minutes.
Okay,
Okay. We'll give him, we'll do the minutes and then if he doesn't, we'll,
move on.
move on. Minutes.
So the January 8th, 15th, and 22nd minutes were completed recently.
So 29th is the one I sent you my one little change on.
29th? I haven't, that hasn't been done yet.
Well, which one did I send you?
You're
my
good.
22nd.
22nd.
She's just trying to get ahead of the curve.
No, I couldn't remember. I just knew I do.
Entertain a motion to approve some or all, or
No, I make a motion to approve January 22nd. The other two I haven't
Second.
gotten a chance to.
motion and second to approve January 22nd in a second. We'll leave the others till another meeting. Any more comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you. Can-
Let's have
You
it.
can do the warrant.
And we could do the
And
warrant.
I do have liquor licenses and tobacco licenses, so.
Of
Okay.
course, at the beginning of the year, I forget.
Okay,
Okay,
I say we move on and push that
yeah,
to later on.
Yep, we'll do everybody that's here.
okay.
We're gonna back up and do.
Yeah, we're gonna back up. Consider number 4, consider new opportunity to apply for a level 3 EV charging station grant funding. Richard Butts is here from the Energy Committee.
Let's get rid of the chair.
Richard, you want?
Maybe not the broken.
Yeah, not the
Yeah, bring your own
broken.
chair up. We're gonna do that.
It's not broken, it just is high.
Oh,
It pitches forward.
It wants to eject you.
okay.
Okay, there are a couple of issues. One is the status of the application for the level 2s that we were gonna put along the park probably.
Yeah.
And I think connected with that, if we decide to proceed on the level 3 funding, we have to decide if we want to continue with the location on the park or location is really the most important issue,
Yeah.
I think, right now.
Do you have an example of what the level 3 would look like?
It's big.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't have one, but it's
Can you send me that?
good size.
Sharon's got a picture. Can you send that to me? Message it to me?
And I'll make you.
Or it's a
I
Val.
was gonna say, I thought you had another one last time we had.
Yeah, I've only got. level
No,
2s.
not with, those were the level 2s, because that was, when Richard was here last, we were applying for the level 2s. And it was the slightly higher wattage
Mhm.
of charger. Level 3 is definitely much higher. Sharon has a picture of the new ones that they're
Level-
putting
It's a
in,
level 2.
for gens, and it is,
It's much bigger.
okay. It is a big,
But you're not logged into Zoom to share it.
Well, he can send it to you from his phone
Sure.
or from his.
Look at Mr. IT here.
Yeah.
He's right on the
You
ball.
can see the house across the street, so you can see how.
Yeah. yeah. I'll send this to
I was
Val.
shocked at how big.
We
they
need
were.
3-phase for that?
Level 3, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Which is one of the things. So, yeah, I'll just log in and I can share it.
No, it's
The-
2.
And we don't know, do we know if those are level 3 there? They look,
I believe they are.
they look large enough, I feel.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Do we know
For
why
gens,
they
all-
funded
Gens,
less?
they're
Richard?
huge.
Did they give you an answer as to why they funded you less than?
Telephone calls, emails.
Yeah,
I
her
haven't
mailbox
sent
is full.
pigeons,
Maybe she's
I'll
not sick
try
or
that
something.
next. Yeah, I asked Maddie Shropshire if she had any having a win. I haven't heard from her yet.
That's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
I mean, we have ARPA funds that are put aside. Porter sent an email saying that she supports, wasn't able to join us this evening, but supports
Mhm.
using the ARPA funds. Electric vehicle charging was high on on their top 20 list.
There is also a program coming up called Direct Pay. I think, did I send you a slide deck on that? Yeah. That's an interesting program. I was talking to Eric about it for the town garage. It's funds, essentially things that produce electricity in addition to EV chargers. So solar panels, battery backup. If you wanted to start a geothermal generating station, which we can't do here, you could. But the interesting thing about direct pay is you build the project and then you apply. It's not competitive. And if it's approved, you can get 30, 40, 50, 60, 70% of the project paid for. However, you've already paid for the project, and so when you get the money, you can use it for anything you want. It's really interesting. And that's got a 10-year window starting in 2025. So it's the kind of thing to keep in mind. And we could apply for that for level 3 EV chargers as well. You know, I'm somewhat skeptical.
Yeah.
Since there's only a little more than 1.25 million available, I have a feeling that it's gonna run out fast and we won't get it, but this other money might.
What's the match with the level 3?
The level 3 is the same thing.
Call that up. Ian, on the side there was a level 2 as well. If you slide that one, so we can see them both.
Yeah, there was 2 big ones and then
The other way.
Yeah.
the other way.
So more than likely, the big ones are level 3 and these are level 2.
Can you get them both in the same picture? Just shrink it.
Night and day.
They're just too big.
It's close.
Yeah, it's pretty
There you
good.
go.
That's good.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a size.
That's huge.
That looks like an apartment-sized refrigerator to a commercial refrigerator there.
It's gonna look like a vending machine.
But I
My
mean,
The level
analysis.
2 looks like one of the old drive-in movies where you just put the little.
right, you can listen to the movie as well as charge your car.
I don't recommend
So we have the grant for the level 2s.
That's right.
The match, instead of being 2,000, it's 20,000 now for a $40,000 project. We know that we've had people.
What was that again, the numbers there again? You said it was.
We thought we were gonna be, when Richard first submitted the grant, we thought the town would be paying around 2,000, and now we're paying around 19,000.
2,500 to 19,000.
And Richard's been trying to figure out where that difference is or why that happened, and we don't have an answer on that yet.
It's also possible in the award letter, they talk about if the expenses go up or go down, the award might vary, so we might still have some.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can't guarantee it that.
They won't
Yeah.
give us less, but
Right.
they won't give us more.
Yeah, again, it's ARPA funding, so the money is there and we can use it, but from what I've heard and what people have said in meetings, that when we've talked about these in the past, a lot of people feel very strongly that Bristol should go for level 3, that level 2s, while convenient to people parking for long periods of time, perhaps at a job or something similar, or if you know you're spending time at a location for a good period of time, it's useful. But most people would look for the level 3s because they know they can park for an hour and get their car fully charged versus
This will
How
get
long, I was gonna say, how long does it take for the level 2?
much longer.
45 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you could top up and be able to get home perhaps, but yeah. So do we spend that money? Do we outlay 20,000 to put in level 2s that might
Obsolete.
Yeah, that are not obsolete, but might not be used at all.
They will be obsolete.
Right. Or by the time we get them in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And how much is the level 3 gonna, out of the difference of
Okay.
20,000?
Okay, level 3. Let me get this.
It's a huge difference, but
Yeah.
the grant covers a very high majority of it. But it would,
Not this grant would.
no, I
cover too.
know.
Sally Burrell has her hand.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay.
Richard can get his presentation done then. Sally, I see your hand. We'll get to you in a minute.
Okay, so program funding is $1,440,000. The hardware cap for the DC fast chargers is 30,000. The make ready work and installation is 40. Maximum for 4 ports, 160,000. And they are expensive.
So it says cap per applicant is 640,000. So when it says
Yeah.
cap at 4 ports, 106, that means there's 4 charging
Yes,
spots on on 1 unit.
On that refrigerator?
You have 4 units,
or you might have two
2
units.
units, like.
2
like-
units.
like
Okay,
I
one
thought,
on each
yeah.
side.
We would probably just go for a single unit that would have 2
Two
ports and 2
ports,
yeah.
spaces.
Okay.
Because that's gonna,
So you're talking half that cost
Yeah.
then. Mhm. Is the hardware cap, the compliant, the 30 and
Hold on,
the
Jimmy.
ready work and installation 40, is that per unit? Like, if we have 1 unit that's got 2 caps, is that 40,000 and 30,000 per unit? Or is that cost for the 2 units for like the 4?
It's per each port, each unit. The unit is a port.
Okay, so for each port, if we're doing a 1 unit with 2 ports on it, that hardware is
That'd be
60 and
double.
the make ready is
Be
80.
double. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bottom line, what would this cost out of the ARPA funds if we did this project with level
We
3?
don't know.
we don't
Yeah,
know.
we don't know.
Which you'd like our blessing, but we don't know what to bless.
Well,
We can apply and
You
see.
apply.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what he's saying. We'd
okay.
apply for the grant
Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
go.
Nothing,
what-
nothing is locking
Doesn't-
us in, we're just
No.
applying for the grant, similar to the other one that we applied
And
for.
it doesn't throw out if we apply for the level 3, is the level 2?
No,
No,
way
it's
or
not affected.
No.
not affected?
And we haven't accepted the level 2 one yet, and
Right.
maybe we won't, and that might go somewhere else if we decide that level 3 is the way to go, or we could offer the level 2 at another location. Put a couple of level 2s over at the rec field, or maybe Pomelo is interested in using 2 of their spaces, we could get in touch with them, that would be a private-public partnership then with that.
Yeah, that might not meet the
No,
requirements.
right, we have to look at that, yeah, but we could do it at the rec fields, I think
Yeah.
that falls under.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take up Sally, have Sally,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sally, and then Jimmy, you're next.
I think I was just gonna ask about the level 2 chargers. The last time we talked about level 2s, the most recent, weren't those much faster than the original level 2s? Yeah. So
Yeah,
you're
they're
counting
high.
that in. We've kind of canceled the way older level 2. Okay,
We're getting a new and improved level 2?
Yeah,
you're
we're getting the
thinking?
Yeah.
most current,
Yes,
which is a 40, they say about a 45 miles per hour of charge.
Yeah,
I see that really helping people with plug-in hybrids, because they have a range of somewhere around 25 to 35 miles. And so they would benefit from this a lot.
Okay,
I think my personal one that we had installed, just a few months ago, I think charges in 4 hours.
Yeah.
For
Full
hybrid,
charge.
Yeah. in 4
yeah,
hours.
which is about what these would be, maybe these would be at the 70-watt amount,
Yeah, 'cause I
maybe
think you
they'd
were
be
talking
3
about
hours or something.
older ones, you said it would be 8 hours. for a
Yes,
full
Oh,
charge.
yeah.
they were.
You-
Yeah,
are you all set, Sally?
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we knew that it wasn't the old 2s that we were talking about. So that's
Right.
great, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Jimmy?
Last meeting, I asked Richard if installing these things was to have them installed that the homeowners that have these electric cars wouldn't have to have them installed on their own property, and you said yes. So my feeling is, why are we gonna use public money to subsidize people who have a charger for their cars? You want a car like that, you should have a charger up there on the pole, number one. Number two, we're going on the premise that maybe people will come to Bristol to use these things, maybe. We don't have a hard and fast vote on it, so to speak. I would suggest before you guys go any further, spend all this money, I see that this last one the grant isn't even gonna cover the cost of it. We'd be in the hole for what, $2,500 or more, right?
20,000.
20,000.
Okay, to me, I think that before you spend any money, we should maybe put out some information to the public to see if this is really warranted, if people really want these. I don't think there's that many, fully electric vehicles in town, okay? And to subsidize those people so they don't have to spend the money, and we have to spend public money, okay?
I don't think it's not necessarily, Jimmy, I don't think it's for the people who live in town that have electric cars. I think it's for the people passing through.
Well, that was the second part of my discussion. I mean, what's the chances of that?
Well, it's no different than running out of gas and stopping at the mobile. I guess I'd have to liken it to that. You don't have to like it, but it's what's happening.
And it is,
Also, they can get some cash revenue out of it, right,
Yeah.
over time?
We
Or
aren't paying.
it would pay for itself.
Pay-
hopefully.
yeah.
That's the idea.
Oh.
I mean, we
Not
don't
hopefully,
pay,
I
we
want
don't
to
pay for
it.
the power, they
Right.
have to pay.
They pay for the
We pay
power.
to get the installation,
Yes.
but they have to pay for the power.
They pay
to
for the
charge it.
power, plus we can set a per hour
Yeah.
charge, per
Charge.
kilowatt
Fee,
charge,
yeah.
yeah.
I guess,
Maybe could I answer Jimmy a
Sure.
little bit? It's called a public attraction, and there really is a need for them. Both of my kids have, one has a plug-in hybrid, one has an electric car. And when they travel, they plan their trip around where they can stop and get a charge. It's not like a gasoline car where there's a station everywhere. And part of the level 3 program right now is we're more than 15 miles from any level 3. That's why we would qualify to put it in Vermont. I think it's a real advantage to the town, the people who come here. And we have people all the time up and down Main Street. You can see them walking around, taking pictures. If they have electric cars, and there really are a lot of them, they would relish being able to plug them in here. And furthermore, there are apps that they all have on their phones that tell them where they are. And so what they see in Bristol right now is a zero, no electric chargers. So, if you're looking for lunch and you're a tourist, you're gonna go to Middlebury or Virginia's, if you have an electric car. So,
Okay,
we can argue
I
back
can
and
see
forth.
that, right, that's right now.
That's
There's
kind
an
of.
awful
the
lot
way
of
it is.
controversy about it.
Yeah.
It's-
okay.
My own personal opinion is gonna die a horrible death.
And it doesn't, and they wouldn't replace people having one at their homes. You're gonna do, if you get an electric vehicle, whatever type, you're gonna have it at your home because you're not gonna be able to charge it, especially in Vermont.
But I'm going by what he said last time.
Yeah, no, it's a combination, yeah.
Yeah, it's always cheaper.
I just got a question. So you're talking about putting them on the park, but there is a parking ban there, and you can't park overnight. Who would stop that person 15 minutes before the parking ban or whatever comes into play? Put the credit card in there, plug in their car, and what do you do with that car?
They get a ticket or they could get towed.
Yeah.
What's that?
He said they'd get a ticket or they could get towed.
Extra
technically.
revenue for
Tell
them.
them that on their app.
Yeah.
Tell them when they're at.
Well, it
No,
has to
there are
be
signs
posted.
that say.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
realize that, but I mean, it's just, so here's the guy out of town plugging his car in to walk around and find out, he comes back, his car's been towed.
If it's,
Well, that would be after 10 o'clock, that it's
Right.
not.
Yeah, no, no,
Midnight
I
action.
know, but it's just- it's one of those points that it will happen.
Right,
well, it's on the app though, when they're available, from X to X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Joel.
One other quick comment on that. If they decide to put it on the park, take in consideration how we plow the park.
yeah,
Cause we plow everything in towards the park. So if you got an EV station here and you got a 2-foot stone bank in front of it.
You're
Who's-
being generous,
who's
it could be a 3 or 4, I've seen them 3 and 4 feet.
Well, whatever,
Yeah.
who's gonna pile through a stone bank to get it and then plug in.
Yeah.
You might be amazed.
If you can't go anywhere, you're gonna shovel.
Yeah.
We haven't decided on the park, that was just one.
Yeah.
That's part of the
No, I was
discussion.
just thinking, like, for example, if you wanted to put it on the park, if you put it on the
Church end.
the church end or the dentist side of it, cause
Yeah.
we take all that snow away from there. So there wouldn't be only, you know, not much snow there to go through.
Right.
That'd be the only, I was just saying, thinking of some place to put them where you wouldn't have the snowbank to come.
Yeah.
The other thing is if we go level 3, we've gotta have 3-phase power, which is gonna change where we put it to.
Exactly.
Okay, that was
Well,
it.
we put.
All right, thanks,
We decided to put it.
Alrighty. Well, what's your pleasure, people?
Sally has another question.
Sally, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we talked about that and it seemed like a lot of local people go to businesses and things on the back side of the park and that's pretty full. But on the front side, on the main road, there are often a lot of empty spots. And so it'd be better for that reason. And also it's closer to 3-phase being on that side of the park.
That doesn't mean they can't park in the front and walk to the back.
Right.
I mean, if there's no
Yeah,
parking.
I'm just
spot there,
saying,
Yeah.
I'm just,
No, I
I'm just-
understand, but.
I'm just saying that we might as well put it where we have empty spots rather than filling, you know, the people where the dentist likes to have their parkers, you know, be that kind of thing. I
No,
find
I
that,
get that, but there's also a lot of people who don't want it sitting on the front of the park just because of how it looks.
Yeah.
oh, I see
Because
what you're
it
saying.
takes
Okay,
away from the park.
okay, I get
We
where
also
you're, where you're going. Yeah.
The other issue is there's an ordinance of no new structures on the park.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a bunch of hurdles.
Yeah.
Would that apply to all the way around?
It would.
Yeah.
But that's not to say we can't revisit that ordinance.
What I
I'm not
said.
sure that it's an ordinance, I think it was a policy.
Yeah, it's a problem.
There's a.
I mean, when we had people who got upset about putting a book box on the bottom of the play structure.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine
What we're
the
gonna-
pushback from an EV charging station, so I
And this
just,
box was this big, wasn't it?
yeah, I'm just putting that out
Yeah,
there.
16 by 2 feet square, 16 inches by 2 feet. Alrighty, any more?
I mean, I'm not opposed to applying for the money and see if we get it. And I would almost dare say if we're gonna apply, we probably should apply for
Four
four
port. I was thinking
ports
that
instead
myself.
of 2.
Richard, do we need to know where they would be located? Do we need to include that in the application
Yeah,
to show?
yeah, you do. Although, when I applied for the other set, I simply said West Street. And it went through.
You could
So I-
just say in Bristol.
Somewhere downtown Bristol.
I mean, and that's part of this application is that it has to be a very centralized location.
Yeah, this is called a public attraction,
Yeah.
meaning that the charger itself is going to attract the public. That's how they
Yeah.
define it. So it needs to be near where we have public attractions.
Right.
Wasn't Bristol, somebody in the room, correct my memory, featured in a national magazine about a beautiful downtown and wasn't there something about that we were named?
Bristol has a number of times.
Yeah.
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 And we're gonna put a commercial refrigerator down the middle, on the back of the park, on the front of the park. Maybe we'll have to
It's in the-
rescind that beautiful
It's in
downtown.
the eye of
Beauty's
the
in the eye of the
beholder.
beholder.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah, if you
I don't
can't,
also
if you,
think
if you don't
we can-
wanna, if you can't come here because you know that you can't charge your vehicle, then you're not gonna see any of the beauty.
I mean, to me, I look at it as like, if we could put it on the back of the park, we could, and, you know, people don't like those, you can always put fencing in front of it or something to hide the look. I mean, although then it's not as visible.
Right, which is fine. I mean, I think I think the idea, it's not just the visibility aspect, it's that it's there.
Yeah.
Where you can park, where you can walk downtown, where you can shop.
I mean,
And I
Eric makes a great point about the plowing. I've seen that, you know, snowbank
Yes,
there.
definitely at the front.
In the front, quite long.
I just put an image on the screen. I think that's a level 3 charger. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. That's in
All of them
Whitesville.
are about that size at level 3.
Yeah, so they can look different.
Yeah,
That's at a shopping center.
It looks like Manchester area or Bright River Junction, Hartford.
Actually, it's Waitsfield.
Waitsfield?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a bunch in Waitsfield.
okay.
yeah, okay.
So what's your pleasure, people?
Why
I think I'd make a motion to allow Richard to apply for the grant and see what happens. And I think Peter's suggestion of having the 4, going for a 4 and see what we get. It's gonna be competitive, so we'll.
I'm just curious, can only the municipalities apply for this grant? I mean, like, why can't Pomerlo apply, or, you know, Kevin's applied, Kevin Harper applied?
They can, I mean, Carmelo would be the best location if they're willing to give up spots, and we can talk to them about that.
Simply just the other side of the hedge at the end. Yeah.
It's whether they're willing to give up spots. I'm
Yeah.
sure in some of their other locations that they manage and that they own, they have.
The message I got was, why wouldn't a private entity be interested if they could, you know, get the infrastructure in and then make money off it?
Right.
So you making a motion or?
Yes, I'll make a
I'll
motion.
second it.
So
Okay.
there are some of the entities that are.
Yeah, we can get an
eligible.
electric bus.
You're gonna get me to drive it. Okay, there's a motion and a second to apply, Richard apply for a level 3 EV charging station. Location to be determined at a later date. Is that would be?
Yeah.
Location to be decided at a
Yes.
lower date, later date. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Alrighty, Richard, you've got some more to work today. I guess.
Thank you, Richard.
Do you have any MERP updates?
Yeah, I talked to the engineer, Nick Thrilgen, who led the team who came through the 3 buildings. They said early to mid-March, they should have the reports. So
Great.
then we go from there.
Okay,
And
great.
Richard, I would like to be, this is not coming from the board, coming from Joel Boover, 65 Pine Street. And I've had people,
You want a charger?
no, but if we're going to have a true energy committee, I'd like them to look at, and I've had people ask me that, why can't they look at possibly getting natural gas into this town? That's an energy use.
If that's what you want us to do, we'll look at it.
Maybe we don't, maybe we want it, maybe we don't, but I think, I want to be a full energy and, you know, maybe.
And then it's a Vermont gas thing too, you know, whether they want to come in here.
Right. I mean, that's where it was left. They pulled out of the project.
Because of Act 250.
Because of Act 250,
Which has changed.
which has changed now.
But I don't know what they've been doing, if they've been putting anything new. The only thing I see of natural gas now is their adverts, and it's electric, not heat pumps, but hot water heaters. That's all I see from them. So I don't know if they
Why do
changed.
you have to heat hot water? That one's always got me. I buy a water heater. I don't buy a hot water heater.
But yeah.
All right, thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Richard.
righty. We're gonna put our water commissioner hats on. Consider request by Adam and Amber Thomas for alternative to looping the new water line for proposal 6-unit plan unit development. They are here tonight with their engineer.
You don't look like.
Good evening. You don't look like Adam. No, your first
Nope.
name is Jason.
Adam wants to come out.
Thanks, man.
I think that interview should make them come up, you know, front center.
We're good.
They're pretty close.
We're good. So we're here tonight. Originally, I think, there's a map that can be put up on the screen, but I do have a paper copy that we can.
Yeah, let's look at your paper copy. It's a lot bigger.
No, put it in.
All right.
This was what in front of, give you a little
So,
back history.
just
This
to
was
give you a
what in front of
little relation, yeah,
the
this-
December.
where we are.
Review board.
We've actually started in 2001 with this project.
Wow.
Originally, was it?
You get an engineer?
21, 2021, excuse me.
23 years?
So originally, and I can just sort of orient everybody, this is behind Jackman's, Pine Street, North Street. Here's the way in. There's Francis Place, right here. The parcel originally with the project, we had proposed 6 units, so 3 on the east side, 3 on the west side. There's a gully that sort of breaks the entire site apart. We've scaled it back a little bit to 2 single-family homes and 2 2-bedroom dwellings or 2 duplex units. What we'd like to do, and there's gonna actually be a change. I did talk to Kevin LaRose here, and he texted Adam today. There is a hydrant that is associated with an 8-inch main that comes down through Francis Place, which would be a convenient place to tap into. I've run the numbers on the calculations with the water. We can actually serve these two units by 1.5 inch pipe or 2 inch pipe, one or the other. And we can actually serve these two single-family homes with 1 inch pipe. Reason we're here is we were not mandated, but it was requested to loop through the development that we were proposing and then back up onto Pine Street with either a 6 or 8 inch water main, which basically didn't make the project feasible. There was a lot more cost that needed to be done to actually get water to these structures. Both areas are suitable for single-family homes. Over here, 2-unit dwelling units. We have wastewater capacity. We've actually started a lot of the Act 250 work because this property is in Act 250. And the big hang up here was actually bringing the water line all the way from Pine Street, looping back through over to North Street, which to get back through that gully, it is all wooded. There would have to be a cut through there, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially from a financial standpoint. So Adam asked us to look at scaling the project back a little bit in terms of the number of dwelling units. This line actually would be considered a shared water service. That would no longer be a water main. And we'd be able to come off the existing water main over by Kevin's house. You can see where the hydrant is, and then onto the property. It's about 300 feet of, like I said, either 1.5 or 2 inch pipe that meets all the pressure requirements, the flow requirements for those 2 units. We just need to confirm that those units won't have to be sprinkled with the fire marshal, but I don't believe they will, because they will each have their own exit and entrance to each dwelling unit. So the biggest thing is
Why would there be an 8 inch in there?
Because that's what they made and put in when they did. When they did the- Can't put a 6
can't, yeah. And basically, we would end up having to do the same, but it's a lot from North Street all the way through.
Just the terrain too, all you guys know.
It's there's a big gully in there.
So what was the reason, what was the reason for the loop? What did that do?
Typically with, you don't want to have a closed loop in the water system, but in a case like this, there's not gonna be a whole lot of flow with 2 residential.
And I think, to give a little back history on this, the first look I saw on that had 3 more units in here, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
And I think that was.
So it's just in terms of capacity for
Yeah.
those.
Putting a fire hydrant down there
In the
and
hydrant.
that.
Got it.
In the hydrant. And we would actually, I see that Brett LaRose is was on the screen earlier, but we'd look at, we're about 350 feet from these hydrants here. So if that was acceptable, we've actually got to work on the turnaround to get emergency vehicles in the back, but 350 feet is not usually that far away from a hydrant. I don't know if that's something you guys would be able to serve with the trucks from that hydrant here, if we did make a little cut, if fire protection is the issue. In terms of the water service, or being able to provide water to these units, to loop an 8 inch water main through that project with this number of units is way overkill.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money spent that doesn't.
So the farther one, you're saying would have what, 1 inch from Pine Street
yeah,
all the way down?
I quickly ran the numbers, and actually from hooking on here, doing a 1 inch tap and running down to those, you'd have plenty of water. and
How far
plenty of
is that?
pressure. It's about 400 feet. But you're actually gaining elevation because it's down.
Would that be copper or?
If that's what you
Whatever
guys-
we decide,
whatever
and
you
that's
guys
what our
decide.
policy is, but.
I mean, it could be CT.
Well, they could have plastic, but then it has to be in a pit and a meter up here.
No, our policy says copper.
Or a meter pit. Or a meter
No,
pit.
And I think Jill's talking
Jill's-
about that,
yeah.
so.
Is on.
So we're,
And copper will be a lot cheaper than running an 8 inch ductile iron water main through that, so.
So is each duplex gonna have its own water meter? Is that, or you,
That's what Jill.
is that what's Jill,
That-
okay, all right.
Yeah, each one that you see here has its own curb stop, the blue.
When it has its
Yeah.
own meter, but it has curb
So
stops.
they're gonna have, you'd be able to shut this one off or shut that one off. Each one of those has individual
Mhm.
shut offs. So yeah,
it'd be 4 meters.
on that east,
Yeah.
on the east side,
On the east side, and then 2 on the other.
correct.
Jill.
Jill has a question.
yeah, Jill, let's hear your
Go ahead, Jill.
comments.
So is this means of egress and ingress that's coming off of North Street? Is this a driveway or a road?
It's a driveway.
Okay,
Sure,
and where
John.
are you proposing that those curbs are gonna live?
next to each house, next to each unit.
So the curbs in our water system live in the right of way next to the water line.
Okay.
So that means they'd have to be on North Street,
Well,
right?
We're coming off, so we would be tapping the 8-inch water main at Francis Place and running one water service. It would no longer be another main. It wouldn't be a main over to where the units are. It wouldn't be considered a main. It's
The
only
issue, Jason, is the ability to shut the curbs off without going off of town property.
And to actually find them, okay, so like meandering about in a front yard on somebody's private property is not it's not the design of the water system. The design of the water system is that the curbs live at the edge of the water mains inside of the right of way of the public road. So what it does is it
So
Francis Place is private.
So yeah, how does that, Francis Place is private?
And so is
I know
there-
there's a meter pit, for the final house on Francie's Place. And there's also a meter pit for Jackman's.
Or could that be done the same way here? So we could essentially put a meter pit right after that tap before it went on to the new development road.
But if
again,
this
that's-
road is private.
But so is this one.
Yeah, and there's meter pit here already.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean, we would do we'd do the same thing that's
Do
there.
the meter pit, put a meter pit on the 2-inch, and then it would be, then charging for
I mean,
water would be
so-
up to them down here.
Correct. So if we ran an 8-inch water main down the new development road and then tapped into that and went off to the structure, wouldn't the curb stops be located in the same spot?
They would be located at the, yeah, they would.
They would be in the same location.
Do you understand that, Jill?
I guess I just need him to put it like I'm 5 years old and be like, the curb's gonna be right here in this public right away.
Well, can
But
you,
it's not a public.
can you
right?
mouse file, because Jill can't see what we're pointing at on the paper map.
I'm not sure where you're referring.
Oh, can I?
The
mouse?
hydrant,
Where's the hydrant?
right there
Right
where the
there.
cursor is.
Me
But
or-
that's already all private.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this would be a service off of that existing private water main. And regardless, it's the original proposal, when we looked at this, was bringing in a water main off of North Street, but that still wouldn't be a public road. It wouldn't be a public right of way, it'd still be private.
It's similar to what we did for Bristol Co-housing. Those are they're on private property. I mean, I think Jill's concern, and it's valid, is that we need to know where those curb stops are, and they can't be hid in somebody's front lawn.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that's what the meter pit solves.
Actually, I have a further concern. So the further concern, and this is not me as a human, this is me as a representative of your public water system, is that the definition of the town side of a water service goes from the water main right where it comes out at the corporation to a curb in the public right of way. So it's, a very defined distance, usually like 20 feet. If now the town side of the service, where do we define when the town's responsibility and the water system's responsibility starts and stops?
I guess the answer to that would be if, and it sounds like Jason could design it easy enough, is a meter pit there with a meter on that 2-inch line, and then it would be up to them but then the issue becomes if Adam doesn't continue to own both buildings, who do we bill for the water?
That's it.
Cause we can't shut an apartment house off.
Nope.
So you'd have a-
No. Well, and it's been that way for that idea, and kind of the wording is that each potential water connection that would be a different customer needs a separate metered service that can be individually shut off.
So how do we do it, Jill, now with the, I'm gonna take KTP. covered trailer, well, I will refer to.
They're not separate, it's a single.
It's a
So
single-
they
It's a
are,
median.
they're
But there's 40
consecutive.
units over there. Hold on, there's 40 trailers over there and 38 of them pay their bill and 2 don't. You don't go out and shut the master meter off.
No, we don't
We don't
build
do
them.
Yeah.
As
bill
We
them.
bill
community trust.
KTP.
Okay, we build them for all the water over there.
So
Or we build them, wait a minute. I believe each,
They all
Trailer.
have meters, but that's Addison County
That
Community
Community
Trust
Trust.
problem, not ours.
ours is at the beginning of that road.
yeah,
They
I
pay
knew
for all
that.
the
I knew
water.
I know where it is. I just thought they paid the
Okay.
difference.
Oh, I
The
see.
only
An
the difference.
example would be another duplex.
Right.
Oh,
So would a
Rockdale's
homeowners
the same way.
association solve that? Would that, normally how that would be with one shared, I don't see any other way to get multiple water services
Yeah.
from North Street to serve each of these
How
I
did
mean,
residents.
we
that's
do
kind of the
Cottage
same,
Park?
same way
Cottage
we do
Park.
over there.
We did four curb stops right in the right of way to serve Cottage Park, all of those different.
They're not in the right of way.
Theirs
They're
is
in
not in the
Cottage-
right of
They're
way.
in Cottage Park's right of way, but not in
Not in
our
the
right of
town.
way.
It's private.
That was a mistake.
So
No, we have access to that right of way.
Oh,
where's the
It's
shut
written
offs
in-
for the 2 properties or the 3 properties, the 3 units on Francis Drive or Francis Lane, whatever it's called?
I would assume that would
Francis
be in the
Place.
private right of
Francis
way.
Lane.
Yeah, there.
So we've set a precedent that
Right.
not every curb stop is in the town's right of way. I'm just trying to,
Right.
and then I know my brother's old place down on North Meadow Drive has 2 just outside. One goes to Aaron's grandfather's place and one goes to Fuzzy's old house. There's 2 down there. They're 250 feet off the road. center of the road.
More around us, I know.
I mean, the idea is that it's preferable
Preferable.
to have it in the town right away. Okay, I have a question.
So ironically enough, I happen to be sitting in this meeting. Why would this be any different than what just happened over on Lawson Lane where I ended up with 3 shut-offs on my property that's 200 feet from the right away? And I was never even told that we were even gonna be there. It's an interesting subject. I talked to the engineer about that. And I said, what would you do if I told you you couldn't access my property? So we'd have a problem. But it's the same thing if you guys did over there. It's what they want to do.
Yep. I guess,
Might be a water
Which
line
property
easement.
is yours, Joe?
What's that?
Which property is yours?
It's on Pine Street.
he's the old Lawson house,
Oh, the old Los
the
Angeles,
original
okay.
house.
So they went 200 feet up that road
Right.
and I was never even notified about it. I just came home one day and my yard was all dug up.
I guess, could we have an ordinance, in our water ordinance that says any curb stop that's hooked to the system, the town water system, is property of the town of Bristol and can be serviced on private or public property by the town or its water
I
commissioners?
think you need a deed.
I think we're in a situation here where we can deed an easement where this water line is constructed, and there will be a right of way over this road because it will be shared.
But Jill's concern and my concern is we don't wanna own that water line from the main to the houses, to the curb stop down at the houses.
So could that be owned by a homeowners association?
Yeah, it would, yes. I believe that's, short of running 4 separate lines down there, which doesn't make any
Doesn't
sense.
make a lot of, it can be done in one
Yeah.
trench. I mean, it could be, if that's what happens, we could put 4 curb stops right along Francis Place. It would-
Which doesn't change anything because we don't really have,
And they're still on private property.
yeah.
I'm trying to get back to that. They gotta be in the right towns right away.
But to go back further is we were originally intending to bring in a 6 or an 8-inch water main. But that would still be on private property where
Yes.
those taps.
Oh,
are.
I totally get that. I'm just trying to wrap my head away around an easy way of doing this. It doesn't make it so convoluted that somebody 20 years from now, when there's a problem, can't figure out why we did what we did.
You guys are all gonna have GPS, you can go right to the curb
Right.
stop.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Jill's saying, because if something happens between where we are and that other spot,
Yeah.
who's responsible?
So in Val's report, comments from Jill, and I'll speak for Jill, I mean, Jill can speak to this. Jill, you're recommending that they have shut off meter pits be installed at Pine Street and North Street, and that each unit have independent above ground curb stops. So is that saying that it is 4 or 3 or 2 water lines from North and from Pine? Is that what you're saying in that comment?
So in that particular thought process, it was, you know what, if perchance the only way to individually shut these off and not waste having to run individual water lines from the main, basically, they would need to be maintained at some type of distance that they're visible and maintained above grade. So like, for instance, the town of Heinsberg, all water curbs must be maintained above grade. And so everybody has to mow around them and trim around them, and they stick up and they're painted blue and they're super easy to find. And ours are all subgrade, so they're not super easy to find. They're underground. They're found with metal detectors. And generally speaking, they're within 2 to 10 feet off the edge of every single road. So I'm just I'm trying to envision if we create a monster and then all future development, curbs are in all of these random places, and then you're having water leak issues and you're trying to shut water off and you can't find the curbs because they're just randomly located in places that can't be found. I'm just worried about the actual maintenance and dealing with the curbs.
Right, as you should be, and I think we look to you in terms of what
60?
yeah, we would recommend to install. Why would we go in opposite direction and not consult you?
I mean, one of our big, so I guess in terms of coming up with a situation of where the curb stops land, I mean, 10 feet off the traveled portion, like Jill had recommended, that's pretty easy to do. A meter pit where the tap is pretty easy to do. But I mean, we can even run 2 pipes if that works out. We can run 2 pipes from Pine Street in one trench and have 2 curb stops up on the Pine Street side, because, you know, this isn't even considered a water main at that point. It's only serving 2 homes. That's pretty easy to do. It's a matter of bringing it in
Yeah,
from
well,
Pine Street.
it's another 400 feet of water line that.
It really doesn't need to be done because you got a brand new,
Potential leaking is one of my concerns.
Right.
you got a
If we're
new
talking
8-inch
about-
main there that's not that old, 25 years old, 30 years old.
Who deals with, if, from here to here, who's responsible?
Well, I
for
talked to
this?
Kevin today,
Mhm.
and it's him and some of his neighbors, but they're still trying to figure out ownership on that one.
On that water line.
Correct.
On that 8-inch.
Yeah, and Kevin
Are
said
you sure
he,
you wanna get
well,
involved in
no,
that mess?
so actually, this is actually gonna light a fire under them to have a homeowners association for that water main. And that's what Kevin wanted to do all along. So I said, hey, that'd be a great time for you guys to get your homeowners association in line. Then you know who's maintaining your water line, because that is in a private right of way. And then we could tap on right before where the main is, right before where the hydrant is, and run over there. A meter pit in the other right of way across the road. I mean, it would be accessible. It'd be a few hundred feet off North Street, but it would still be pretty visible. Then we can put the curb stops sticking up where, you know, right next to where the homes are, close to the road. That's obviously very doable. But when you're talking about leaks and finding stuff, and that's one of our biggest things, was when we started looking at looping this thing through, who's gonna maintain that water line and be in that gully in the middle of January, digging, looking for leaks?
So Jill, how does that sound in terms of the meter pit, essentially here, where they might tap in, and then curb stops at each of the houses?
I don't see your cursor.
Oh, sorry. Can you cursor, Val?
Oh,
Right
Yeah,
there.
there
we
it
go.
is.
Follow my cursor on your cursor. Yeah, so meter pit where Val's there, where they might tap in, and then at the individual houses have the curb stops. But that doesn't speak to your point in terms of being it on in the town's right of way, though. But there must be situations where we're not in the right of way with curb stops.
Right there, already.
All-
Right.
But we wouldn't have been we wouldn't have been able to do it.
We
And
don't,
if we
do
run
we
a,
know where these curb stops are?
yeah, I'm sure they do.
Well, are they?
Well, there's a meter pit there, Jill said,
Okay.
for Jackman's
There's a
and
meter
for
pit for the last house.
here.
Yeah,
For the
and
For the
duplex.
Kias.
No,
For the key, oh, that's on.
for the duplex.
That's
for the duplex.
I'm on the wrong road.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this is an individual water
right.
service to the Kias.
So I mean, if you were to come off of here, you guys would then also have to be part of this association, because if something
Correct.
happens with this,
They'd be responsible.
you'd have to be partially responsible.
Mhm.
That's a nightmare to me, but. I mean,
I mean, how often, I mean, it does happen, but you know, these homeowners associations do get created, and I'm sure between Adam and Kevin, they can get everyone together that's on Francis Place.
Well, yeah, it's less money for them.
Right.
Could language be included in the homeowners association with a paragraph that grants the water system access rights to the infrastructure?
I mean,
Yeah,
that,
but we're still at the problem is who's responsible for what?
Maybe that can also, a paragraph can be included in there that it defines that.
But with the homeowners association, it wouldn't be. I mean, it would be a new water main, there'd be a maintenance agreement that's tailored in that homeowners association. I mean,
So if that's the case, then we're not liable for
no.
any of it.
It's
So it
private.
doesn't matter, then the meters could go down here as long as we can find an acceptable way for the curb stops.
It's all private.
to me, I
Then what
think in
happens?
our
You put
water
the- You
ordinance,
put the meter pit, you
No.
put the meter pit in
No, you
here,
put
or
the meters in the houses. Just like,
but they still have to read them.
yes,
Okay, so they still have to go down there and
Yes.
read the meters.
I still wonder, can we have something in our water ordinance that says, if you are accepting as a customer for our water, we're supplying you water, we as the town of Bristol, or i.e. the contracted services for the water department, has the right to walk on your property and to shut your water off due to maintenance, service, or lack of payment.
So it should be. Yes.
Because could we shut Kevin LaRose's off today? No, Kevin, I know you pay your bills, but if he didn't pay his bill,
can we get to his curb stop because
Right,
it's
so
not,
no-
it's on
no
private
truck,
property.
right, but if we had it in our ordinance, he's accepted, signed up as a water customer, and he paid the connection fee, okay, then you would accept it that we will walk on your property to do maintenance.
So each one of these would be a private service. It'd be a private service to these two duplexes. It would also be a private service to here.
No
No,
more
the
than,
question
no
is-
more than this is a private service now.
Correct.
I mean, if, I see where Joel's coming from, like if there's a leak down here, somehow we determine there's a leak on this line, can we go in and shut it off? Can we just go in and say, sorry,
Our
your
ordinance already,
service,
our
your,
ordinance
we
already
have a
says
leak.
that.
Why
Our
can we
ordinance
write
says if you
that?
had excessive use of water and you don't fix your leaks, we have the authority to shut your water off.
But at this point, it's all private.
It still says
So
your
we
use.
shut it off right here, shut that
Well, it's a
8-inch main off.
And shut everybody else
I
off.
mean, but this is
I
a
believe our
perfect
ordinance
scenario
says
where it
that.
can be written in the deeds and
Right.
we can do you can do a water service maintenance agreement, just like a road maintenance agreement.
But that's not our
ours,
issue.
Right.
No, but it could be written in there,
Yeah.
the town has authority to shut that water off. That could be incorporated into that language.
I guess what I'm thinking is like, this is a lot of information to process in not just like your project, but in future projects that are going to continue through town and trying to manage a water system that is sprawling into like the back end of everything and becoming these extensions and these long, way back far extensions that back in the day, if they were developed with the rest of the village, would be actual neighborhoods with streets.
Not necessarily, because the line that went over to Plank Road came off somewhere off of Pine Street,
Corner of
traveled
Liberty.
across lots, and we had no records of it to two houses out on Plank Road.
Yeah.
And
that was
then it was way before your time, Jill, but it happened.
Yep.
Joe, where does the water line that goes down over Stony Hill from RL's Drive? The big red building that just got built, where does that water come in? Off that main going down over the hill?
No, comes
So-
prior
No,
to,
it comes off of West Street, it comes down, Firehouse Drive. There's a new water main that the town now owns. on
Right, no, I
Firehouse
know.
Drive.
Correct.
And then
But-
the one that goes back to Woodland Apartments, that jogs to the right and then goes down the hill through the trees. The town also owns that.
Why are you asking?
My point I'm trying to make is, there's two more buildings that are gonna go beyond Firehouse Drive,
the main's on the east side of Firehouse Drive, all the way to the end,
all the way to the end.
all the
So-
way to the end of Firehouse Drive where the blow off is.
Where the blow off is, okay.
Which I believe Si's putting a hydrant in this summer, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, I was just trying to, if those shut offs are in the right of way, or,
They're in the right of way.
They're totally, yeah, they're big. They're valves. Those are big connections because they're commercial buildings. So they have 2-inch, 4-inch,
no,
6-inch.
I didn't know if they were coming up the line that starts down over the hill.
No.
Nope.
So,
That's more of a transmission line.
We're not tapping in the game.
So can our water, can Jill and Si
Steve's on too.
meet with
I think
you
it's
to
Steve.
discuss this? I assume that hasn't happened. It sounds
So
like.
we've talked about it through Valerie. We haven't officially, I did have a
Okay.
conversation with Jill on the phone, and that's where we.
I mean, that's.
So the purpose of the meeting tonight was to determine whether we needed to loop a 6-inch water main or
Okay.
8-inch water
If that-
main.
if
I
that's-
think
through the
Jill
whole
said,
process.
Jill has already said that's not a
Yeah.
good idea anymore, based on
Well,
the new
you know-
plans.
Like
I think you guys were gonna put 14 houses in here, which is a neighborhood, which is
It's
totally.
actually gonna be, it was six units, 3 on the east side and then
Total 11 living units, right?
units, yes, 11.
I think that's what generated the talk.
Yep. So
Honestly,
that has been scaled back, but you are correct, Jill. The first iteration of this plan was 11 units.
So if that's the only question for this meeting, and our water team has determined that you don't need the loop, I think we have.
Right, is that
have the
correct,
answer to
Jill?
that.
After looking at this, you decided a loop wasn't necessary, right, based on the current plans?
And I spoke with Steve as well and said, oh, right, if they're just servicing 2 houses off of Pine and 4 2-bedroom units off of North, which are both water mains, that does not seem as though it would need an 8-inch line that would need to be looped. If they have a water quality issue, they're
There's not much you can do.
they're on a branch. They can just run their hose bib and run it till it's clear.
Steve's unmuted. He must have.
Steve, you got a comment? You're on.
A couple of them, maybe, just a little bit of history on that 8-inch stub. We had no idea at the time whether or not there was gonna be a need for fire protection down there. So the Vermont water supply rules require an 8-inch main if you're gonna have hydrants on it. So we put an 8-inch stub in, not knowing at the time. That's how we ended up with that. So it's probably way oversized at this point, but it was there in case they needed it. Maybe a thought on this whole thing is if they have a homeowners association, I don't know where Jason's at with this, but why not have the homeowners association just put in a meter pit at North and let them be responsible for paying the bill and maintaining the line? And then Jill doesn't have to pay for accessing it.
They could come off North and we could put a meter pit right there. I mean, we're trying to save a little distance, Stephen, to get off the water main that's on Francis Place, but if we could put a meter pit right next to North
You
Street.
put the meter pit up here.
That's another
What-
400
Seems like
feet
it
of
would-
water.
Right.
Seems like it
And
would
Steve, I
solve
guess
a lot.
I got a question for you or Jill.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it help that 8-inch main that stub down to Francis Drive to the hydrant? If water was flowing past that hydrant, actually
If there was more flow. through
more
that
flow?
So
That's why I'm not sure putting 400 more feet back to North Street and coming off an 8-inch main that we don't know who owns it yet.
And Steve, I quickly ran the calculations to get from that hydrant to the duplex units that you see, and we can serve that with a 2-inch pipe, and then a 1-inch pipe works fine coming off Pine Street for the other 2 single-family homes, and they would be shared. So we, conceivably, we could do the same thing. We could put a meter pit out just right off of the Pine Street right away and go from there. The same thing, we could, you know, if we can save 400 feet of digging and 400 feet of pipe, we could come off by that hydrant tap there and run a 2-inch service, albeit if it needs to be copper, fine, it's a lot shorter distance than coming off of North Street.
Well, after the meter, pit, we don't care.
Run a garden hose.
So if you, no, seriously, if you put a meter pit there and figured out how they were gonna share the cost and pay the bill,
They could run CT.
they could, yes.
Okay.
Which
That's your
would,
problem.
which would save them.
We're selling water now.
Yeah.
So if you leak after the meter,
Yeah.
we just don't want you leaking before the meter.
I think that solves a lot of problems.
Put straws together.
Okay.
I don't know.
So do we only have to answer the loop question?
Tonight.
Okay, and then my recommendation would be to connect with Jill.
Yeah, and I can talk to Steve and Jill.
Yeah, and just
come
sort
up
of work
with a
out, and then if you need to come back to us to present and then to have approval from the water commission, then I think that would be the.
I mean, it
way
would be handy if we had some sort of an idea tonight, because we have waited a couple years to get this project off the ground. So, I mean, if we can come up with a consensus, and I believe we can come up with a resolution coming off Pine with a meter pit and a shared line down where it branches off. I mean, as you're looking at it, Steve, I think maybe if we scroll to the left a little bit with that drawing, you'll see where we come off Pine Street with a smaller pipe, other direction.
Oh, way.
And then if we bring it south, so right there, that's where the tap would be off Pine Street. And obviously running down the hill to those two single-family homes, it's not that big a pipe to get there. We could put the meter pit outside and have individual shut-offs, which would be close to the road.
Get you, Jill, in a minute.
And then same thing over on Pine Street or on North Street.
Okay, Jill, go ahead.
All right, a couple questions. Do you realize where the water service tap currently is for the houses that are on North Meadow Drive and where their water line is?
North Meadow, I do not.
Okay, it's right there. So
Okay.
that's gonna be interesting.
So we can slide that pipe over because we still have plenty of property.
Are you sliding it to the right or the left?
I'd go to the east.
Okay, that's good to
Right.
know. That would be a good idea.
This is just a conceptual. This is not set in stone, so it's not a full design.
Yeah, secondly, I see a bunch of unused land at the moment, and I'm wondering, is this set of driveways and additional dwellings a phase? And later, there's gonna be a wish to have another phase, but there's gonna be undersized water lines for phase 2.
I'm gonna, the landowner's here. I think he's actually planning to build his house down there.
This is
Down on the remaining land.
Yeah.
Yes, not right here, but on the
Right.
remaining land, yes. Okay.
Okay, because if there's like a larger conceptual idea where more water volume is actually needed, I would be super disappointed to see something happen now. And not,
You know, I think if you're worried about that, the thing to do would be a 2-inch tap here and a meter pit and a 2-inch tap here and a meter pit. And from there, you can run 2-inch plastic, you can run whatever, because once we've metered it. And then you would have the ability, if this has the ability to serve 4 units, this would have the ability to serve 2 more down the road, should the need arise.
We can certainly upsize the pipe, not.
The one on Pine Street.
it's more of a question for like, you guys are coming to the water system for allocations, you're coming to the water commission for approval of materials and approach and whatnot. So it's like, if there's more going on here, and like phase 1, phase 2, it'd be good to just deal with it.
You're looking at the big picture.
Well,
You're
because
looking at
like,
the master plan.
so Pine
Yeah.
Street is getting paved in a couple months, and once it's paved, they're not gonna want you to dig and put a tap in on Pine Street. So that's why there's an 8-inch there, because my understanding from our conversation, which I swear is like well over a year ago, it was quite a large development that was going in here. And as
Jill-
Steve and I had discussed, there was gonna need to be fire protection if it was as such.
Jill, first of all, tonight we're just approving a loop or no loop. I think that's all we're We
Okay,
haven't seen the rest of the design. And it's, as Jason said, this is just conceptual.
No, what Jason is saying, if they have an idea of what we are gonna want them to do, it would
That's
be
We need a
better.
clear path forward.
Okay,
Right.
my-
Yeah, we need a
And the
path
second
forward.
one is the Pine Street has got, isn't there a 20-foot pipe coming off that main? Didn't they, so if we did pave, all they're digging up to the edge of the right of way, correct? And
Yes.
Mike,
It's just
did Munson
T.
put that in a T there on Pine
there's a
Street?
T that the town's project paid for.
Right,
that
and
would
about a
be-
20-foot piece
No,
of pipe
no,
there, isn't
no.
there? There's no
I
pipe
don't-
there?
I did
I
not.
thought they
see-
put I thought they put a short piece of pipe headed north. Maybe Steve can relate to that.
Yes.
You would have to
in-
look at the
in a valve.
construction photos.
Yes.
Hold
we
on.
did. Joel's
There's a
correct.
stub.
There is a
There's
stub there.
There's a stub and a valve there. Yep.
I thought there was.
Where? Are you
In
talking?
the road.
Right in the road, goes just off the
Edge of the
pavement. Right
At
there.
that, we're
That
talking about that
intersection. Yep.
point right there, okay.
Good plan. My recommendation would be for us to approve the loop, And-
Non-loop.
the non-loop, and then have, our water department meet with you.
Sure.
And then come back in 2 weeks.
And our engineer.
Yeah, and our engineer, come back in 2 weeks, so it's not that much longer. I know you waited
Or
a while.
We're fine.
And then, yeah, if you're able to do it in 2 weeks, come back and then we'll have something to approve. But I don't wanna make suggestions because I feel you need to talk with Jill in greater depth, just so she has a better understanding, she and I have a better understanding of the project.
And
Going
really not
forward.
looking to have design. That's not the purpose
Yeah,
of this meeting.
no.
It was to say,
Loop
this
or
is
no
what
loop?
we can do. Do we
Right.
have to go all the way through with an 8-inch main because we have scaled the project
Yeah,
back?
and we can-
Or Adam and Amber have scaled the project back.
Yeah, and we can definitely answer that question. With regard to meter pits and where, I think that's a further discussion that we could answer the next time you come back.
Is that a motion
Which
then?
may or may not be the 26th.
Right, I mean, yeah, you could do it in 2
Well,
weeks.
let me get it ready and then we'll have. some
Yeah,
others.
exactly.
Okay.
That is.
That is a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Figure, you second it? Figure second it. Any more discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That's good.
Thank you.
And on a
Good spot for it.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
We'll see you in a couple weeks.
You're gonna leave? He's the riveting. Thank you.
Do you want to try the dog hearing again?
Sure.
I'll email him to let him know.
Any response from him previously?
Yeah, email, I told him that we'd try again later.
Okay.
And he didn't give you a thumbs up or okay? So you might not be listening. I'll wait for
Yeah.
Michelle to get back.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop your sharing though.
Still think we ought to have an ordinance that says we have the right, if you're buying our water, we have the right to service, maintain the curb stop, whether it's on private or public
I think
property.
it's already in there, something like that.
She's saying no.
Well, the ordinance does talk about the curb stops.
Are you telling that guy? Okay, I'm gonna call that guy.
You wanna wait for the?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
That's a thing,
Unless you're interested in loan documents.
Let's do a real quick one. Sharon, this is the liquor licenses? No? these are-
No, I mean,
Licenses,
but what
I
she's
have
saying
ones
is
for
that
the
we
American
wanted,
Legion.
our own.
Which are 2 liquor and 2 tobacco, and then I have, the ones for Walgreens, 1 liquor,
Yeah,
1
that's what she
tobacco.
wants.
One
Because
tobacco,
that needs to be
so
under control.
I'll need an approval for that.
Which one was that?
We're gonna do number 8 right now while we're
Oh,
waiting.
number 8,
Okay,
okay.
never mind. We're gonna call this guy one more time.
Okay,
I was waiting for Peter to get back.
Sharon was almost free.
Almost, I beat you.
What's the guy's name?
Mike.
I'm sorry, should realize that.
Michael Mulligan.
Hello, we are not available now. Please leave your name.
Okay.
I should have left my name, but.
I don't see the number. No, it's your number, actually. What? How come the other people didn't show? I don't know.
Okay. You
Do we want to deal with Sharon
Sharon.
stuff? so
Yeah,
she
let's
can-
get Sharon
Let's
done.
deal with Sharon.
Sharon leave,
Yeah.
for goodness sake.
Authorize accounts payable warrant, any liquor license or tobacco license, and we got 2 or 3, and Sharon's
We
gonna tell
have
us.
the American Legion, they have 2 liquors and 2 tobaccos. And then, Walgreens has a liquor and a tobacco.
American Legion has the indoor and outdoor.
Indoor, outdoor, yeah, and then the
Okay.
tobaccos are usually regular tobacco and alternate tobacco. Substitute or whatever.
Oh.
Do you wanna move? You wanna move?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the
Second.
liquor and tobacco licenses as presented,
For American Legion and Walgreens.
as presented.
As presented, okay. Is there any
Very clear
discussion?
on that.
And the pay orders were
$114,471.38.
exactly. Make that girl the treasurer. All those in favor of accounts payable warrant and liquor license, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Review and possible adoption of updated revolving
Thank you,
loan
Sharon.
fund policy. Thank you,
Good
Sharon.
night, Sharon.
Have a
I'll see you in the
wonderful
morning.
evening.
Review and a possible adoption of an update revolving loan fund policies and application materials. Michelle has been doing quite a lot of work. Thank you very much for that. You want to brief us, Michelle? You got 30 minutes or less.
Just approve.
Take a
it.
look.
No.
I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, Fred and I went through it. We had, who do we have at VLCT go through it?
No,
Was
it was Fred Kenny at the ACEDC.
Fred Kenny went through it and I think we incorporated what his suggestions were and.
Yeah,
There wasn't a document that you posted, right?
there was,
Yeah, they're on.
There's
loads.
loads of documents.
Loads.
There's the clean version and the,
Market.
Oh,
I didn't have
market
an
yes,
I didn't have
sorry.
an iPad today, so I couldn't open them at work, because I
Oh.
can't open them at my bank email. They come through and then you click on, sorry.
Oh,
All
oh.
right, and I looked through these too, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, you did.
Any more?
She's still on the revolving loan fund?
Who?
Teresa. Is Teresa still on the revolving?
I
loan
believe
fund?
so, yeah. I think so.
Teresa, are you still on the revolving loan fund? Might as well ask you.
Yes, I am.
Ah, there you
There
go.
you are.
Have you looked at these drafts?
I have not. I'd be happy
Oh.
to, but nobody asked me to.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Okay.
Yes, we sent them back way back when to everybody on the revolving loan fund and not got any comments. Not after Fred and I went through them.
Oh.
But
I
before
wonder
that,
if you have my right email, if the correct email.
I don't know. Fred's the one that sent it out. It
Why
wasn't
don't you
me.
send it to Valerie, your correct one, or Valerie must have your correct.
Yeah, I
one.
think the only one I have is your work email.
And I bet if it's the state of Vermont, then they probably were kicked back.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
You want to email Val the right one and then she can send them to you?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, I'd be
great.
happy to.
Oh, that'd be
Okay,
wonderful.
thanks,
Thank you.
Therese. So what are your pleasure tonight? Want to hold off on this one?
Yeah, let Teresa, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let Teresa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just as I mentioned in my notes, we are trying to modernize some very dated documents. And we're also trying to broaden the eligible activities that can be funded through this program. And not all of the applicants might be businesses. Some of them might be, or have real needs that we really want this fund to be accessible for. And I'm just a little concerned that I want us to look at the documents and the procedures with the lens of complexity. I want us to really evaluate whether certain things are really necessary or under what circumstances they're really necessary and what they might not be necessary. I don't mean that. Now, there is a provision in here where the select board can waive certain procedures, but we wouldn't know what those waivers might be until somebody's actually walked through the door to start this process. And I just want to, my hope is that it's not too overly and unnecessarily onerous for.
Well, I guess you better be more specific about
I
what you
know,
think is
I know.
onerous, because, I mean, I guess the way I look at this is that we're loaning money to people and I want as much information as possible in order to
I
make
would
that
say the
decision.
same. I echo
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, are there specific things
Yeah,
that you've seen in the documents that you feel are confusing.
Well, as I noted, I haven't had a lot of time
Right,
to spend with the documents and really think it through.
okay,
But those are just some broad brush
Yeah.
concerns that I have, and I trust the experience and the perspective of people on the committee
Right.
who have much more financial experience with this kind of thing than I do. So,
So could we, instead of trying to shove this through in 2 weeks, could we say 6 weeks?
It's been going on for over.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not thinking, I'm thinking 4 weeks from now is a reorganizational meeting. A new select board person to try to view this would be a lot on the paper that night, a lot on the agenda. That's what I'm thinking. Let's put this to bed within 6 weeks. I'll be on vacation. Or,
well, but
If
also,
we could-
it does give us more time, I mean, it allows.
I know we've been
Teresa
many
to look at it.
weeks and months and
We've
years.
looked at it, Fred Kenny has looked at it and
Yeah.
given approval, but also it allows us to look through it through a different lens, as Val suggested.
I mean, the
in
only
terms of
thing I could
complexity.
say with regard to owners is if we could put them as like an online form rather
Sure.
than doing them like
Yeah,
handwritten would
Yeah.
probably be much easier for people. Cause anybody coming in is usually more tech savvy.
and also too, just promoting it and letting people know, I mean, Fred's always talked about that, and, some years we've done a better job than other years, I think.
I think, I'm sorry.
That's good.
I think Valerie, where you're going from, you want to see it loaned to homeowners too. And, I have some reservations about that, usually if you're, you rent to, somebody's roof falls off and they gotta replace it and they come to the revolving loan fund. Usually the bank's first in line, that house goes under. And we did that with a cookie shop around here and we lost $70,000. I'm not sure I wanna, I get it, you wanna replace the roof, but I think they could go to other means. I think the revolving loan was something for promote and increase business in town, and that's really been the
well,
concept.
one
And I hope
example.
it is.
We're broadening the eligibility for disaster recovery, and with the July floods, a certain agricultural property up on Lower Notch Road was heavily damaged by the floods that didn't qualify for FEMA assistance of any kind.
Yeah.
And,
We see there's a business there that
right,
people aren't gonna be able to pick or hire workers to help pick.
right.
So,
So I'm looking at, taking that example of this young business, going at a very stressful time and all that stuff, and I don't know, I'm
I
thinking out
think we
loud.
did some '04 flood. I think we lent some money in the '04 flood too, to repair some walls and stuff up on all the old Sherwin place.
I mean,
I
I
mean-
guess you're talking about, the bank is first in most of the cases. And
They're always
with that, they're
first.
always first.
Yep.
We're farther down the line. We're not usually first or second. We're
If
usually
they-
third, fourth,
No,
or
it's,
fifth.
the revolving loan one is to fill a gap.
Yeah,
Right.
When there are no other
Options.
alternatives.
other means.
Right, and it supplements, it gets you that
Although
last,
we
that final.
did do this with
distance.
one that we're first on.
I mean, in terms of the description, it says lending program that assists businesses, nonprofit organizations, local agencies, and sometimes individuals with projects that benefit the Bristol community, especially in its low and moderate income residents. So that kind of thing, that you just described, fits that perfectly in terms of being a Bristol business.
Benefits the
And not
community.
qualifying for particular funding from other agencies.
Mhm.
They'd be able to take advantage of this, but again, they would have to know that that
That's
the town
available.
offers that.
Right, right.
And part of that too is that you see different perspectives and different things coming to you, just because of your position. But I do think it's good to look at it, and I try to make it, if we can, make it as accessible as possible
Yeah.
for people who are eligible.
So we're gonna put number 6 off for a couple,
Yeah.
3 weeks at least, 2 weeks at least.
Well, like you said, if we have our informational meeting, it'll have to be after that, I would think.
Okay.
Unless we can do it in.
Right. All right, and we've done the number 7 minutes. We just approved January 22nd. We're gonna hold the other 3. We did number 8, select board roundtable. Oh, Ian, you up first? Go around the table.
Same things. Oh, so town report is done. We sent it to the printers. We'll get a test copy that we can approve hopefully tomorrow or the next day. And then if we have any changes, then we can send them out to them and they'll print the final ones. We're gonna do a lower amount. This year, we're gonna do 300 instead of 350, just because we have a few boxes of them sitting in there from last year and probably the previous years.
Yeah.
So fewer, it's a longer report, it's about 156 pages this time, but I think it looks really nice. But yeah, if we get the copy, I can send you a PDF if people want to look at it, if they have any comments. Thank you, Michelle, for looking at that too. Let's see, what else? The bus shelter, that still goes on. There was
Never ending saga, right?
yeah, one day there'll be bus shelters. The bus shelter that we're going to put in the Prince Lane was damaged by the last large windstorm. A little bit of the roof was damaged, so that we're looking, Tri-Valley Transit looking at the insurance just to see what would happen there. I know that Parmelo folks, Chris Sipple wants to move on that because he has a large hole sitting in there, and prefer not to have that. So I'm gonna talk to Randy Sargent this week to try to get a crane to maybe put it in position, even though it has minimal damage, and maybe that can be fixed on site as opposed
Doesn't
to.
the concrete have to be poured first?
Well, they would fill it with gravel, he said. I asked that question saying, can you pour asphalt, in this weather? And they said they would just fill it temporarily and then they would do the asphalt when it warms up. I think he's more worried about the hole being there versus trying to do the asphalt, so.
Concrete?
Concrete?
Asphalt.
It's quite a
Well,
lot of
because it's matching what's already there. They.
Oh,
pulled
they're
up a-
gonna, okay. They're
So
gonna
when
by wall.
go way
So
out
when
to
you put
the-
the asphalt in, they're gonna have to lift up the.
No, it's dug down and they're gonna asphalt
Around
around
it,
to it,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So there's that, and then I'm gonna take the sign hopefully tomorrow to my workshop, be able to cut the top. I've printed the brackets that hold it in place. And then it's just a matter of installing it. I was gonna install it without painting the posts first, just because I could maybe get that done if the weather is okay. Painting might take a little bit longer, but it'd be up to you. Should I wait until it can be painted or just have it installed?
I don't know that at this point, I think we wait until it's painted so that we
Okay.
don't end up with paint getting on the
Yeah.
ceiling.
Me too.
And also, do you need another person to help hold it? Is it a
Probably.
two-person job?
Probably. I was just gonna cut off the top first and then go from there.
Yeah.
I
Don't
reached.
you have
Exactly.
don't you have your little dog to help you? You taking that back to your workshop to fix it?
Well, it's my father and mine's workshop, so maybe I'll convince him to help me. I reached out to someone to do the painting, who did the painting for the town signs, but he's no longer available, so I don't know, do we have a handy person that we don't, okay?
We do, but he no longer works for the town.
Yeah, so we need to figure out somebody who might be able to.
Well, you post some
No, I know,
reports
and-
for
and
them,
maybe
so
I just
we might have
do
to
that.
reach out, we might
Yeah.
have to reach out to somebody.
Yeah, so, yeah, still, so the projects continue.
The little things need to be changed on top of the poles too, right?
Yes.
The finials, yeah. Finials, like, oh, is it?
Finials, I gotta write that down.
Finials. Okay, anything else? Ian?
No, that's it, that's what
Michelle?
I see All Earth Renewables is opening at the end of this month, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that on-
Do we have any more information about the lights yet?
No, I sent out a query last week, but folks are on vacation and we just haven't heard.
Have we confirmed the end lights are really not working, Joel?
You know, they're back working.
They're back,
The last
like
two
magic.
or three now are back working
yeah.
on the south end.
Oh, that's because the wind had blown off one of the units and it tripped the breaker.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all I got.
okay. Peter? Nothing? I just got a couple of things. The two streetlights at Daniel's Four Corners, they sit on opposite corners. They're both out now. Maybe we ought to call
What's
Central.
that?
Down here at the Four
Down here at
Corners.
the corner, the bottom
They
of
really-
116 and Berkeley Road and
Berkeley Road
17.
and 17. Down there, they're both out.
Well, God, when they come, they can fix that one and the ones on the bridge.
No, that's GMP.
Oh.
Those are state of Vermont. We'll get GMP up here tomorrow.
So
or
for
next day.
the bridge ones, can they just take them down?
Okay.
Well, those are peaker lights. You wanted
Or,
those?
would you prefer to talk about them in select board roundtable for the
No,
rest of
I
your
don't.
serving years?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that wanted them up. I
I know.
mean, we didn't never ask for them. I mean, it's
Right.
nice to be able to see when you go across the bridge. Is it?
I can't believe with the technology we have, it's that hard to keep 6 lights going.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you where it's nice is at the intersection. of
Yes.
Lincoln
It
Road
is.
and 116 at night.
Yeah.
And then Right.
But the other ones,
I know.
And then maybe,
I mean, if there's only two on there now
I know,
anyways.
I know.
I see the chief is on. Brett. Do we know what happened? I come up over the hill tonight. You know the sign that we can activate from the trucks that blink and say fire?
Fire truck.
Doesn't say
shelter,
anything,
yeah.
it's a picture of a fire
Fire
truck.
truck.
Well,
yeah.
it's gone.
The sign is gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
But there's also, there's also another sign.
A little
that I
yellow
saw,
one
a
is
little
under it.
yellow one that said, I can't remember.
Says,
what it
please
said.
drive slow, children or something.
Children crossing or something like that. And I was
But
like,
the one
what
that
the hell is
blinked
that?
from the fire truck is gone.
yeah, I did
I-
notice that the other day. It's gone.
Okay, wasn't aware of that. I guess I hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Somebody
so-
probably stole it, you
Yeah,
know.
and that's
put it in
all I
their
had,
bedroom.
just those two items.
Concerning, that was
So
an
on the-
expensive sign.
Yes, it was.
So on the stoplight one that you mentioned at the Four Corners, you said that's.
No, the
behind?
two street lights. There's
GMP,
two
street lights.
street,
yeah.
not the blinking yellow,
Okay.
red ones, but the two street lights
And-
that
and is
light up that
Green
intersection.
Mountain Power?
That's Green Mountain Power.
There's also there's the flashing sign by the cemetery.
You know,
not
that's
there.
probably those are the state's responsibility though, not ours.
God, I'll call Green Mountain Power if you'd like.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
get
I'm
them
just
fixed
saying.
quicker than the state of
It
Vermont.
might be the states, they may not do it though, if it's
Right.
the states.
It's
Well, they
a
have
street
done
light,
it.
not just like we have in this
Doesn't-
town here.
Doesn't
No, I
necessarily
read it.
matter.
Yeah.
So what about as you go down the hill, Stony Hill?
The blinky lights on the
That's
The one
ground.
yeah,
that
that's not
somebody
there.
ran into.
I was
on
gonna
the
stop
ground.
there yesterday, I had two zip strips, and I was gonna at least stand it up and zip strip it.
Well, the part, no,
It's
bent
still
and then
blinking.
You can see I know, but you can
Something's
see the
up.
wires, yeah.
somebody picks up part of it up, but the other part is still down and broken.
Is it,
Yeah.
why is that there? Is it necessary?
Yeah.
It's a caution light. to tell
To
you.
tell you
because
to
you're
stop ahead.
Yeah.
You're gonna stop.
I mean, you don't see
You
that in a lot of other
We've
places.
had a
No,
lot
but
of
there
accidents
was
at that
a
intersection.
couple of fatal accidents there.
More than a couple,
prompted.
Yeah, years ago, yeah. That's why that's a four-way. It wasn't, it used to be a four-way stop.
Oh,
It
interesting.
just stopped on 116 and Burpee
I
Road.
see.
You used
Yeah.
to go right through the
50
Haven.
miles an hour through there and
Wow.
yeah, it was
It's too many
not-
deaths.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
and that's all I have on those two things. Valerie, town administrator?
Well, a lot of stuff going on. Had three very interesting meetings today. The first was with FEMA about,
Hey, brother's truck.
about the, following up from the July floods. We focused a lot on Briggs Hill Road. We talked about some of the other areas too, but the focus really was on Briggs Hill Road. And we have a new person working with us from FEMA, and he assured us, Sharon was on the call too, and so was Eric and Frida. Am I interrupted?
Yeah,
Come on, picture.
Okay.
Okay, finish. Sorry, I was looking at you. Go ahead.
He assured us that the Briggs Hill Road will qualify for hazard mitigation. And the reason I am anxious to know that for sure is because we received approval for funding through the Natural Resources Conservation Service, through the USDA Emergency Watershed Program that also funded the West Street slope repair a couple of years ago. We received over $1 million worth of approval for repair of Briggs Hill Road. It's a 75-25% match with an upper limit, and we need to let them know by the end of this month, basically. We've had 60 days to decide, but I needed assurance from FEMA that we would be eligible for their funding, which is more attractive for the town, and it does not have an upper limit.
Did you say that's an 80-20 split?
75-25.
So could the FEMA funding supplement our 25% and get that other grant?
No, it's one of the
Or
other.
one of the others?
Yeah, yeah. And,
FEMA's 100% though.
Oh,
well, FEMA's 100% for category A and B, which is emergency repair and I think debris removal. And that's nice for a lot of the other parts of town, but the actual hazard mitigation and the stabilization of Briggs Hill is actually, I think, considered category C, which was not included in that 100% announcement. But still, it's better than the other programs.
Is
So
category C worse or better than A and B?
it's still good. It's still good. And also there's the state share. There is still a state share. I mean, the FEMA would still only pay 75%, but then the state kicks in 12.5%.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, so there's still a benefit to sticking with FEMA if we can. And I also wanted to make sure that having been qualified for the EWP program didn't kick us out of FEMA, like,
Right.
it didn't say, there wasn't a response that, oh, well, since you qualified for this, we can no longer help you, that you have to go with that. So that was not an answer. I mean, that's not the case. So it was a very assuring conversation from that perspective. And Frida and I are going to work together probably next week or so, maybe later this week, to respond to some of the other questions that they still have about certain details and documentation and that kind of thing. But, so that was very affirming. And this new person seems to be, it's gonna be very easy to work with, which is nice. The next meeting we had at 11 was about Briggs Hill with the engineering team and the drilling company. And that was very interesting. And the fellow from the drilling company, I think his name is Jason, he ran through their findings and their recommendations ultimately, and looked at various options. And let's see, how did we leave it? They were gonna come back with,
They wanted to know if we were good to go. Eric and I were gonna go up and look at the site and see that lowering the road, like he suggested,
oh, right,
was gonna work for us.
Lowering which road, Briggs Hill?
Briggs Hill, he wants the upper slide, he wanted to take 6 foot out of the road. So that the state does everything with their slopes. They have maximum slopes and angles in order to hold grades.
Yeah.
And with stone, it's 1.5 to 1, and with dirt, it was 2 to 1.
I think it was 2 to 1.
And in order to meet the slope with stone and a 10-foot wall, we had to lower the road 5 to 6 feet.
That doesn't sound easy.
No, it isn't easy, but they didn't think that driving sheet piling was feasible. They didn't think that the geotech or whoever it was.
Oh, interesting.
Because they felt the soil was too hard. They broke bits and everything trying to drill it.
Said it was very dense.
You know,
That's good.
The one thing that I didn't argue with them on was, because my design was so simple, was that the size of those base rocks, you would gain, 4 feet at a time without stepping back. So every 4 feet, you would only have to step back, so you would gain the height, but they.
Battles you didn't want to try.
No, it wasn't worth trying to fight with them, because I understand their angles, it's the same with dams. You have to have a total of a 5 in order to hold water, whether it's 2 to 1 on one side, 3 to 1 on the other side, you need that total of 5. So that's what they base their slope on. Stone is 1.5 to 1, dirt is 2 to 1, so, I mean.
So do you think they're gonna come up with something?
They came up with the design they had was decent.
Yeah, it wasn't overly complicated, and they focused on the failed spots. They didn't feel that there needed to be a slope wide solution. That they could just focus on those 2 things, and that leaving the middle area basically alone. But they're gonna look at whether certain trees maybe should come off of that middle area, just to
something that might fall or tip over and expose the roots and then leave exposed soil.
Yeah.
The trees are good in that the root system holds, but if a tree falls, then
It takes
Takes
those.
out
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you're saying they wanna take it down by 5 feet, so would the slope in the beginning be as steep and then you would kind of go down?
No,
and
they
back
wanna
up, or
take,
you wanna
they
take it
wanna
all?
take out of the top slide, the road kind of does one of these.
Uh-huh.
Does one
They
more
wanna
dip,
take
they do.
that.
So make it more of a level.
Yeah, but I
Climb.
can't visualize it without going up there and
Mhm.
actually looking at it, and so Eric and I said before we committed to anything, we'd at least like to look at it and see.
I mean, it seems like that could be very beneficial to all vehicles traveling on that road.
The issue is he said when you get over 10 feet of wall, then you have to do some sort of retainage back and under the road in order to hold the wall. Up to 10 feet, they can pretty much freestand.
It would also affect the other side of the road. They would have to slope up on the uphill side of the road also, in order to
Or
make
put
that
up
new
a
grade.
retaining wall or something.
No,
something.
they said that the grade isn't steep enough on the opposite side of the road, so you could shave it back. And I'm guessing from the right of way, it's probably 25 feet out of the right of way, I would say, based on the width of the right of way, what they had carved up above, so it's not terrible.
Okay.
So there would need to be some construction easement.
I was gonna say, that'd be an easement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Valerie, the question I have, you could relate to them. So you said they're gonna repair the two things and they didn't think they needed the whole slope. Is this kind of like, well, we played this, we have a water line that's 1,000 feet and we repaired 100 feet here and 100 feet there, put strong water line in, and the weaker one.
No,
Are we gonna make that section of repairing
Right.
strong and then it's gonna just weaken the
no,
other
because they wanna deal with the water runoff
from the upper side?
they wanna deal with the water runoff so that it doesn't create a problem, and if you go up and look at it, that section is really a lot different. It meets the minimum, it's within inches of the 2-to-1 slope that they're asking for.
Okay,
They don't feel that any mitigation
Okay.
there is really
Okay.
gonna
just a question.
amount to anything.
Alrighty.
If I'm,
Okay.
basically, that's what he said.
Right, and one of the things that was also emphasized from the FEMA meeting earlier was that in order to not qualify, but they want to see, FEMA wants to see the cost differential between what it would cost to just repair, put it back to pre-disaster condition, if that's even possible, versus the additional cost for the mitigation. They want to see that clearly broken out.
I thought they didn't want us to put it back to.
Well, it would be impossible to do that.
Well.
It'd be very difficult, but we still
How
have
can you
to.
calculate that when you can't do it?
Right, yeah, the engineers had that same.
Probably a different formula.
Look
They were perplexed by the ask. They
Yeah.
didn't really know.
Yeah.
How
How to
they
respond to
They
that.
just want to know.
Anything else?
Understand that.
Let's see, then this afternoon, we had a meeting with the other engineer team on Basin Street.
We can't
And
get Basin Street to wash out so we can get some FEMA money for that too, or? I'm just
give
kidding.
it some time.
It's been tried.
If we wait long enough.
Yeah. It might collapse on its own weight, but, they've come up with
Clear disaster.
two alternatives. One is, the on alignment, so in the same road alignment that it currently is, but just elevated and with slopes coming off the sides. And then they also did an alternative where they realigned the top bank away from Mountain Street, and in each case, there was still a plateau at the top. And a level, to
So
make
they
a
can
level.
sit when they take off as opposed to
Right.
be pointed
Right.
to the
And
start.
a level crosswalk across.
Exactly,
Now it's like this.
exactly, exactly. So we talked about some of the different components of what was involved with that, with the drainage and some of the size of culverts and things like that. And the biggest, one of the largest impacts of either of those scenarios, it would still require elevating the road, which they felt would not jeopardize the water main underneath. But it would create, lengthen the slopes on each side. And so that would affect the property owners to the east. And so they need to take a closer look at some of those. And one of the things we want to do is convene a neighborhood meeting with the property owners prior to them coming to the select board and presenting these alternatives, so that we can have a conversation with the property owners, answer their questions, address their concerns, and.
So we don't get blindsided.
I'm a visual
So
person.
nobody gets blindsided.
How are they gonna adjust the slopes to the east when
That's right.
some of the houses are right there?
Well, it would have to be raised. I'm thinking there's a retaining wall on the east side that's intact.
It would be covered.
It would be covered.
Yeah, because right now, the way they described it, the retaining walls create kind of curbs to the road, and then water just comes shooting down the road along the curbs and just keeps on going. This would eliminate that, and instead the water would sheet across and down, so they need to deal with how the drainage would be going down those slopes and affecting those the property on to the east.
Well,
in
right, and then I
particular.
was just thinking the slope to the west,
Is,
Boy,
that
the-
is steeper than the one to the east,
well,
yeah.
right, and a lot of material in there to make that slope.
But there, that whole hillside would be completely transformed
Mhm.
and all kinds of new drainage put in there, so what you see today would be completely different. It'd look more like the west streets.
Those people have to walk in. Why, that's being dug out.
I still say that, you know,
Be
big
cheaper to buy 'em
centrifuge
out.
there with a parking garage and you start up the top and you go through the parking garage, come out down on the bottom. Solves our parking
Get out-
problem
get
on
out your
Main
checkbook.
Street, does it?
Okay,
What are
anything
you,
else?
what are you gonna do with our septic?
So we are aiming for, let's see, for the, the March 25th. I think March 25th is when we're aiming to have a public
The public
presentation.
Here?
Oh,
Or-
basins.
yeah, so you're gonna meet with them?
Basins.
Yeah, yeah, we'll meet with the neighbors first,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
incorporate all of that,
Only 10 days.
and then come to the select board with the presentation, the alternatives presentation.
Sounds great.
Are you
Yeah.
making the day after?
Okay, all righty. Anything else?
No, 'cause I have a
no,
meeting on
that's
the
quite
17th.
That was a good mouthful. Okay, any other business correspondence reports or received?
Let's see, let me,
We're about
in
to call
your
that
other
guy now.
business
It's after 9
section,
o'clock.
there was the budget status report through January. Oh, yes, the executive section, perhaps we would continue the conversation about the above and beyond. Perhaps. Also, just want to draw attention to the letter of thanks from Ripton, town of Ripton, for Bristol flood assistance. There's the notice from FEMA about the 100% reimbursement adjustment from FEMA. The media release for all earth renewables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
And town offices are closed Monday,
correct, thank you.
President's Day.
okay. Would entertain a motion to executive session then?
Before we do that, let's circle back briefly on item 3 and how are we going to handle that?
Move it to the next meeting. It's after 9 now.
You know, I hate to have put it off. I mean, it was noticed.
Yeah, significantly.
Yes. So.
But except we just don't know what his side of the story is.
No, my questions would be, what steps had he taken since last March when we met as a board and we made, in terms of, in our minutes, it was outlined options that Mike may take to eliminate the problem, including
Right.
keeping the dogs inside, taking them to a dog daycare center, or having somebody come and care for them while he was away, or engaging a trainer to help with behavioral issues. I was gonna ask what has changed since the week of November 12th, when it was reported that the barking had begun again, November 12th, 2023. It's been 3 months since that date, exactly, actually.
Yep.
And has it continued?
And what did it, yeah.
Is it the same amount? Is it just on and off? Is it all the time? Obviously, we need to have more information about that. And then I had some suggestions. I don't know if we do a 1 week notice for the barking to cease. We had done that previously on other complaints in terms of giving a week or 2 weeks for the problem to be mitigated, maybe. And then.
Well, I wonder, the last time, didn't you say one of the dogs wasn't even his?
It
Correct.
is now, it's right
Yes.
there, the registry.
It wasn't registered, it was registered in Essex, but he was gonna do it, which he did.
Okay, so he does have 2 dogs then?
Yeah.
Both his.
Yeah, I checked.
And I don't know, what are the options that we have before us in terms of,
Could make him require to do bark collars. But I can't
We
remember
did
if
that
he said,
with
if he said he
Tom
had
Hardy,
that or
didn't we?
not.
right,
Yeah, it almost sounds like he had them and they went dead.
maybe, I'd like to hear from him, just to know what he had done. Obviously, it had been a good amount of time that the dogs
Yeah, we're good.
weren't making noise,
Right.
and suddenly something's
Or at
changed.
least not consistent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
We
it
need more
doesn't,
information.
it doesn't sound great if you're a neighbor. And it's a shame that they've had to go through that again.
Yeah.
But I do think we should figure out what steps we can take if he's unable to cease the barking.
Right. Well,
What did we do with SD Road on that?
We had him put bark collars.
Bark collars.
Bruce, are you still on?
I guess there could be ticketing,
Yeah,
citations like before.
Your thoughts on on what actions we can take? If any?
Well, I don't think continuing to issue tickets for an issue that was brought to the board previously, that's why I haven't
Yeah.
issued any more tickets. I mean, you gave him
Yeah.
some direction, and it doesn't appear at this point that well, I guess we don't know what direction what he's done, if he's done anything. And I think
I mean,
that
something had lapsed, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking on another issue, it was ironically, Bruce, that we had 2 weeks ago with the horse wandering around the neighborhood. I see the legislature is addressing that this year with raising that fine from $10 to $100 an
Right.
episode. Well, but they said, oh yeah, it's been on the books, and I listened to on WDEV, Ted Brady, the executive director of VLTC, and said, yeah, they're working on it now to increase that fine to $100.
Yeah, who
per
has to issue
episode.
the fine? The town does.
Well,
And then we have to collect it.
but I just thought, oh my lord, they must have listened to our
Well, we
select
don't.
board meeting 2
Bruce
weeks
puts
ago.
on his cowboy boots and he heads over.
Make sure you bring your saddle.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
I don't think it's his salary he wants to bring.
No.
Did the select board see the email we received today?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't see it.
I was gonna respond to
Well, it's
him.
interesting that you brought that up then, because we did receive an email today from the gentleman who brought that concern to our attention, and he lamented that the dog issue is on tonight's agenda, but we haven't done anything yet to deal with his issue.
Which, in some ways we can't, because it's not part of our ordinance. We have to change our ordinance to.
Yeah.
So in his defense, we haven't dealt with it.
Well, we
Right.
haven't.
Yes,
It's just a bigger issue.
Well, and also it's been an incredibly busy time, and we've
Yeah.
had a lot of other hot button things to deal with.
Yeah.
Check the list.
No, it's definitely, it's on our list and we will be getting.
I
to it.
did email off to VLCT today, just to get some clarification on what is the select board's role and responsibility when somebody else's horses escape their inadequately enclosed facility and wander and cause damage
Okay.
elsewhere.
Don't call Homeward Bound because they don't want them.
So in terms of the dog situation, can the dogs be taken? Not that I want to go down that path if I don't have to,
In
but,
theory, Homeward Bound has informed us that they don't want to take such dogs
Okay.
related to violations.
okay,
Unless, the only way I can think of to, I wouldn't say get around it, but is if the animal actually became property of the town. Not just seized, but is now, this is now the town's property, and,
Okay.
I think that might work, but, they've also said they don't want to be involved in violation issues.
okay.
All righty, anything else for the good of the
All right.
order?
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. Do we go to executive session, or you
Yeah.
have to, do we need to still go?
Let's see.
Yes, we need to go into executive session.
Yes, I do have another thing to talk to you about.
Okay,
I make a motion, we enter executive session to discuss personnel matters for 1 VSA section 313.
there's a motion and a second, executive session, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Good night, Jimmy.
Okay.
Have a good
Jimmy.
night.
See you.
Is that thing off now?
Hang on, hold on. Let me stop recording.